Hey everyone, and welcome back to Evolve Every Day. Have you ever wondered what the true secret is to navigating life's craziest storms with grace and strength? Today, we're diving deep into the highest state of being a person can achieve, a mindset that can transform how you handle everything life throws at you. And trust me, you'll want to stick around because the lessons we're about to uncover build on each other in some truly surprising ways. When I was a kid, whenever I felt disappointed, I used to comfort myself with a little rhyme I'd made up. Though today may bring me sorrow, I'll wipe my tears and dream of a brilliant tomorrow.
But as I got older, I matured. A lot. Now, when I face hardship, I convince myself of something different. I tell myself, hey, no point in being sad about today's misfortune. Who knows? Tomorrow might be even worse. It's a dark thought, I know, but it was so jarring that I often couldn't even bring myself to cry. Life's full of ups and downs, a chaotic series of events, and we all have to cultivate our inner strength to reach a certain level of peace.
So, what is the highest state of being a person can achieve? Let's explore this together with open hearts and minds. 1. When crisis strikes, don't panic. Nothing in life is permanent. When you're hit with unexpected changes, there's no need to be afraid or to hesitate. Every single experience in life, good or bad, is a priceless asset. We have to learn to face it with grace, to calmly welcome it. As the great teacher Shakyamuni once said, "Whoever you meet is the right person to meet. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. Whenever it starts is the right time." The people who truly accomplish great things have this incredible ability to stay centered in the chaos by remaining calm, refusing to worry, and proactively seeking solutions to their problems. An age-old piece of wisdom tells us, the wiser the person, the more they understand that when the earth-shattering storms of life hit, the calmer their heart must be, the more fearless they must become. Only when your mind is clear and your soul is at peace can you think rationally, make sound judgments, and find your way through any obstacle. When disaster strikes without warning, calmly find a solution. Don't let it overwhelm you. The hardship can be overcome. You have the power to rise above adversity and see things through to the end. 2. Don't let anger consume you. Learn to master your emotions. In life, good things won't always come your way, and things won't always go smoothly. So when life doesn't go according to plan, you have to learn to rein in your emotions. Don't get angry. Don't complain. You can be sad, but only for a little while. Napoleon once said, "The person who can control their emotions is mightier than a general who wins a city." Every single one of us will face misfortune and trials. You can either let a temporary failure knock you down for the count, or you can face it with a positive spirit and push through it. This life isn't easy. Challenges are everywhere. The great poet Li Bai once lamented, "The road is hard, the road is hard. So many forks, where do I turn now?" Only when we have enough focus and endurance, when we face the world's difficulties head-on, constantly building our positive energy, improving our skills, and sharpening our talents, can we become as steadfast as the mighty pine and cypress trees, able to withstand the fiercest storms of life. Think of the pine and cypress trees standing tall on a mountain peak. When a hurricane-force wind rips through, they don't fight it. They bend, allowing the wind to pass without breaking them. When heavy snow piles on their branches, they flex and bow, using its own weight to shed the load and prevent themselves from being crushed. A mature person should know that there is a profound wisdom in simply not getting angry. Life is a kaleidoscope of constant change. A truly wise person can remain calm when things go wrong. They don't get angry, they don't overthink, they let go. They aren't trapped by chaos or entanglements. By maintaining a peaceful heart, they can break through the clouds and keep moving forward. 3. When you're slandered, don't waste your breath arguing. There's a short story that is filled with so much wisdom. A long time ago, the monk Hanshan asked,
If there are people in the world who slander me, bully me, insult me, laugh at me, belittle me, despise me, and lie to me, what should I do?" The monk Shide replied, "Just bear with him, yield to him, respect him, and avoid him. Above all, don't pay him any mind. Just wait a few years and you'll see what becomes of him." The philosopher Zhuangzi once said, "You can't discuss the ocean with a frog in a well. You can't discuss ice with a summer insect." A wise person knows who is even worthy of a debate. One day, a frog who had lived its entire life at the bottom of a shallow well boasted to a great sea turtle passing by, "My life down here is fantastic. When I want to go out, I just hop onto the rim of the well. When I come back, I rest in the little cracks in the wall. When I swim, the water comes up to my chin, but my head stays above the surface. I bury my feet in the soft, cool mud and just play." The frog continued, "Look at all the crabs and tadpoles around me. They're just as happy as I am. Plus, this whole well is my kingdom, just for me. It's an amazing life. Why don't you come down and experience this wonder for yourself?" Intrigued by the frog's invitation, the turtle started to climb into the well. But before he could even get his left leg fully inside, his right leg was already stuck on the well's narrow rim. So the turtle, choosing not to return to the well, began to tell the frog about the great sea. "The sea is so vast," it said, "that 1,000 miles cannot describe its width, and 1,000 fathoms cannot measure its depth." The turtle continued, "Think about this. During the time of the great floods, when it rained for 9 years out of 10, the sea level didn't rise. And later, during the great drought, when the lands were parched for 7 years out of 8, the sea never ran dry. It is completely unaffected by the passing of time or the ebb and flow of tides. That is the magnificent reality of living in the great Eastern Sea." Hearing these incredible things, the frog was utterly shaken. For the first time, he began to feel the crushing smallness of his life inside that tiny well. Our environment will always limit our thinking. And when you combine that with complacency and arrogance, it leads to a narrow, shrunken view of the world. This is the very essence of the old saying, "A frog in a well." This is why the ancient philosopher Zhuangzi once wrote, "You cannot speak of the ocean to a frog in a well. You cannot speak of ice to a summer insect, and you cannot speak of great truths to a narrow-minded scholar." How can an insect that lives only for a summer possibly imagine the biting frost of winter? And just like that insect, the frog at the bottom of the well, even after hearing the turtle's story, could never truly comprehend the sheer immensity of the sea. In the same way, trying to explain profound truth to people with a limited vision or getting into a debate with them is a completely meaningless act. So instead of getting caught in pointless arguments, it's far better to quiet your own mind and find your calm. Let time be your ally, allowing it to clear up misunderstandings, reveal the truth, and restore your integrity. Sometimes explanations are completely unnecessary, because your enemies will never believe your explanation, and your friends will never need one. In life, you will always encounter some people you can't reason with, and some things you can't possibly explain. Perhaps choosing not to argue or explain is the better solution. As Dale Carnegie once said, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Arguing with people who operate on a lower frequency will only drain your own energy. Trying to explain things that fall on deaf ears will only add to your own anxiety. A strong life doesn't need constant arguments or explanations. Silence is often the most powerful response. Time will give you the answer you're looking for. My friends, if you want to live a truly meaningful, blessed life, it's essential to cultivate a good temperament. You must never, ever let anger get the best of you.
Otherwise, you're just letting your precious life slip away wastefully. The writer Hu Shi once said, "There is nothing in this world more terrifying than an angry face. There is nothing more vile than showing that angry face to others. It makes a person feel worse than being hit or cursed." Every single one of us feels anger bubble up inside. The instinct is always to lash out, to release it. But if you can take a breath and hold it back, then you are truly someone who has forged a powerful character. 4. Save your best, most patient self for the people you love the most. At work, most of us are respectful and polite to our superiors, and we're pleasant and friendly with our colleagues. Even with strangers, we maintain a basic level of courtesy. But have you ever noticed that the moment we get home, a few simple words with a family member can make us snap instantly? We hold our loved ones to impossibly high standards. We nitpick, we find fault. And the second something doesn't go our way, we erupt in a storm of anger. But because they are our closest family, the people who share our blood, no matter how angry or irritable we become, they will always, without hesitation, choose to forgive us. This very fact can make us reckless, allowing us to unleash our fury without any restraint. There's an old proverb, "Receive kindness as a drop of water, repay it with a flowing spring." For the unconditional support and help from our loved ones, we should feel gratitude from the very bottom of our hearts. Our parents endured so many hardships, so many bitter years, just to raise us into the people we are today. Those are sacrifices we can only truly understand when we become parents ourselves. So no matter how angry you feel, don't just lash out at them. Your parents will always respect and listen to your opinion, so wait until you've calmed down and then speak with them from a place of peace. Because of this, learning to live in harmony with our own family is one of the most fundamental lessons in life. Only when we understand gratitude, when we learn to be thankful, can we truly learn to control the fire of our own temper. 5. The greater your ability, the smaller your temper. A person's capability is usually inversely proportional to their temper. You could also say that the more capable you become, the less you will find the need to get angry. On the other hand, a person who lacks true inner strength is incredibly easy to anger. Because when someone gets hot-headed or flies into a rage, it's ultimately a confession that they feel utterly powerless, so much so that their frustration just boils over. There's a powerful story from the Ming Dynasty, during the reign of the Zhengde Emperor, when a man named Prince Ning launched a rebellion. The great philosopher general Wang Yangming managed to crush this uprising in just 1 month, saving the country from a catastrophic civil war and its people from immense suffering. But for this incredible achievement, Wang Yangming was met with bitter jealousy and envy from rivals at the court. They whispered poisonous lies to the emperor, claiming that Wang had secretly been in league with Prince Ning all along, and only turned on him when he saw the rebellion was doomed to fail. The emperor, tragically, believed these fabrications. He forced Wang Yangming to release the captured Prince Ning. It was as if his monumental victory, the very act that saved the empire, meant nothing. Worse than that, he was now the target of a vicious political attack. But faced with this soul-crushing injustice, Wang Yangming did not get angry. Instead, he calmly made a brilliant strategic move. He gifted all the credit for capturing the prince to a powerful court figure named Zhang Yang, which helped appease the influential eunuch faction. Then, he quietly requested to retire to a monastery, showing the world he had no interest in fighting for power or glory. And just like that, with quiet dignity, he navigated through a life-threatening crisis. Because of this, future generations have always marveled at Wang Yangming, saying he had an almost supernatural ability to sense danger and think through every problem with absolute clarity. You see, Wang Yangming believed that in this world, you must be the master of your own destiny. To do that, you have to engage your mind, but never let your heart be moved by emotion.
because only by engaging your mind can you find a solution. If you let your emotions take over, you'll end up being led around by the nose, a puppet to your own feelings. The more easily a person is angered, the harder it is for them to see the real issue. They become like a chicken with its head cut off, running around in a panic, completely lost, making everything 1,000 times worse.
Only when we master the storm of emotions inside can we calmly analyze and solve the problems before us. And only then can our lives become truly peaceful, shielded from the relentless tempests of the world. This brings us to a profound truth. Life isn't meant for getting angry. There was a renowned Zen master who had a deep, abiding love for orchids. He cultivated countless rare and famous varieties, and when he wasn't meditating, he would pour his heart into meticulously caring for his precious flowers. One day, the master decided to travel for a while. Before he left, he entrusted the care of his beloved orchids to his young disciple. But in a moment of carelessness while watering the plants, the disciple knocked over an entire shelf of orchids. The beautiful pots shattered, and the delicate flowers were scattered and broken on the ground. The disciple was overcome with terror. He thought to himself, "When the master returns and sees his most cherished treasures in this state, I can't even imagine how furious he will be." When the master came back, the disciple immediately fell to his knees, ready to accept any punishment. But to his astonishment, the master wasn't angry at all. Instead, he comforted his distraught student. He said, "I did not grow these orchids for the purpose of getting angry." The great statesman Fang Zhangyan once said, "Do not be overjoyed by having things, nor be despondent by losing them." To maintain a calm and steady heart, you have to learn to be indifferent, to view the things you gain and lose as part of the natural flow of life. Because everything has its time, a time to be born and a time to pass away. Even our own lives are just a few short decades, gone in the blink of an eye. So why on earth would we choose to fill those precious days with unhappiness? In Buddhist teachings, it's said that a single moment of anger can burn away a mountain of accumulated blessings and good merit. So, when you face something that doesn't go your way, just take a deep breath and tell yourself, "It's okay. This too shall pass." When you live each day with joy, you ensure that this one life you have is not lived in vain. You see, the ancients taught us a timeless truth. The wise person who masters 3 things will build a foundation of blessings so deep that their future will be one of peace and abundance. The money in your hands can always run out, but the work you do on yourself is the only asset that lasts forever. And the very first thing to master is your own mouth. There's a saying, wisdom comes from listening, regret comes from speaking. A person who can't speak with care and doesn't know when to remain silent is inviting misfortune into their life. It's so easy to talk, it just takes a flick of the tongue and a parting of the lips. But words carry immense power, for good or for ill. Some things must be said, but many more will bring disaster upon you if they are spoken aloud. That is why, no matter what stage of life you are in, you must learn to manage your mouth, to be the master of every single word you speak. These words are the very bricks that pave the road beneath your feet. Those who speak with skill and kindness can achieve great things with little effort, reaping benefits in all they do. But those who are reckless, crude, and thoughtless with their words will find their path filled with hardship and struggle, losing whatever blessings they once had along the way. There was this brilliant executive, let's call him Alex, who worked for a powerful, old-school CEO. But Alex had this habit. He was painfully direct and a little too proud of how smart he was. He loved showing off that he could read his boss's mind, but he made a critical mistake. He never learned the difference between what needed to be said and what was better left unspoken. The first time, the CEO was reviewing the blueprints for a new office wing and simply scribbled the word "breathe" on the corner. Without a second thought, Alex immediately ordered the architects to redesign the entire floor for a more open concept feel. When the CEO asked why, Alex explained, "You wrote, breathe. Clearly, you felt the space was too constricting, too suffocating." The CEO was stunned, but Alex was right. The second time, the CEO left a box of incredibly expensive artisan chocolates on the conference table with a cryptic note, "A cut above." Alex saw it and announced to the whole team, "He means there's a piece for each of us, a cut of the best." He promptly passed them all out just moments before the CEO was about to present them as a gift to a major client. The third time, during a tense, stalling merger negotiation, the CEO muttered to his inner circle, "This is like trying to get meat off a chicken bone." Most were confused, but Alex instantly told his team to discreetly pack their briefcases. He understood the signal. What little they could gain wasn't worth the effort, but they couldn't just walk away. They needed to be ready for the end. Each time, word got back to the CEO. At first, he was impressed, even in awe of Alex's talent, so he let it slide. But you can't keep making allowances for someone like that forever. The rage built in him, the thought that a subordinate could read his mind so completely, so effortlessly, was infuriating. He finally fired Alex, not for being wrong, but for his arrogance and for exposing the company's strategy. It's an old story, but the lesson is timeless. Knowing when to keep your mouth shut is how you leave yourself a way out. 2. Manage your body. When a person lives without restraint, just burning through their physical reserves, illness will inevitably come knocking, and all their good fortune will begin to fade. There was this one candidate, top-tier education, sharp appearance, a flawless resume, interviewing for a position as the COO's executive assistant. It was a dream job with an incredible compensation package. He aced the interviews and was fast-tracked into the role. What followed was a whirlwind of late-night client dinners, cocktail receptions, and schmoozing with partners and company stakeholders. In his position, not only could he not refuse these events, but he was often expected to be the one taking shots and finishing drinks on behalf of his boss. After just 2 years, he felt his health collapsing. During a routine checkup, the doctor laid it out for him: high blood pressure, dangerously high blood sugar, and fatty liver disease. He agonized over the decision for days. Finally, he submitted his resignation, even though it meant walking away from a 6-figure salary and a life of incredible perks. Because at the end of the day, a healthy body is the only vehicle you have to travel through life. It is the absolute prerequisite for going the distance, and we must always make it our number one priority. 3. Manage your spirit. The greatest opponent you will ever face in your life is yourself. Our physical bodies have limits, but our thoughts, our ego, our desires, they are boundless. They can become a bottomless abyss, swallowing everything whole, or they can twist and distort reality into whatever they want it to be. I'm sure we've all heard the story of the emperor's new clothes. The lesson we must take from it is to stop focusing so much on appearances, because as the saying goes, the clothes don't make the man. Learning to trust your own judgment while still caring about others will make you a person people want to be around. When you can keep your spirit stable, undisturbed by the chaos of the outside world, your mind becomes calm, clear, and incredibly agile. But be careful not to let your heart make all the decisions, because the heart is always swayed by emotion. If you don't even truly understand yourself, these emotional illusions can lead you astray, causing you to lose your way entirely. George Bernard Shaw, the brilliant Irish playwright and critic, once said, "Self-control is the strongest instinct. If you don't control your words, you invite disaster. If you don't preserve your health, you lose the most priceless asset you'll ever own. And if you don't know how to manage your own spirit, you'll be forever ruled by your emotions, lost and wandering down the wrong path. Only when you can successfully manage yourself can your destiny unfold smoothly and your life fill with blessings."
There's an old saying, still waters run deep. The most noble people speak with intention. A calm, measured temperament isn't about being slow or clumsy. It's about facing whatever life throws at you with a sense of peace, of grace, and with a gentle smile on your face. People with this kind of serene spirit work with a steady, certain hand, never rushing. They possess an inner joy, a peacefulness that flows like a cool stream, nourishing the souls of everyone around them. As it's written in the classic text, the Kai Gentan, when the heart is at peace, a straw hut is a fortress. When your nature is stable, even roots taste sweet. View the world with tranquility, and your bonds will last a lifetime. Maintaining a calm, peaceful spirit in the face of everything the world throws at you, that is the highest state of being a person can achieve. The truly powerful people all understand this principle of building a deep foundation. It means you have to arm yourself with an unshakable mindset and prepare everything thoroughly before you can ever hope to do your best work. They push forward, they strive, but you'll never see them rush or boil over with impatience. They understand that to truly excel at anything, you need a powerful combination: a calm heart, unwavering patience, and a serene spirit. It reminds me of a powerful story about a master painter named Elias and his son, Leo. Leo grew up in the shadow of his father's fame. Elias was a living legend, a master of the brush, and from a young age, Leo was desperate to prove he had inherited that same genius. By the time he was in his 40s, Leo's paintings were genuinely brilliant, but when placed next to his father's work, they still lacked a certain soul, a certain depth. Frustrated, he went to his father. "Dad," he asked, "what's the secret? How can I finally make my work truly great?" Elias led his son out to the large studio patio, pointing to a row of 10 massive rainwater barrels. He said, "Take the water from these barrels to mix your paints. When every single barrel is empty, your brush will have found its voice." Leo, trusting his father's wisdom, began his work. From that day forward, he shed his impatience. He learned to work with a quiet, steady heart, focusing not on the finished piece, but on every single brushstroke. And in the end, after years of tireless, patient dedication, he too was hailed as a master, an artist whose work was revered just as much as his father's had been. A long journey is taken one step at a time. A masterpiece is painted one brushstroke at a time. There's a reason for the saying, haste makes waste. When you let go of the frantic need to rush and instead adopt a calm, steady rhythm, you master your craft. And when you master your craft, the road ahead of you opens up, wide and full of promise. I know, sometimes it feels like the world around us is sprinting, and if we don't desperately chase after it, we'll be left behind in the dust. But the truth is, the more you rush, the more you become like a spinning top, endlessly moving, but going nowhere, burning through your health, your time, and your spirit. Instead, learn from the camel. It's one of the most serene animals on earth, never in a hurry. It walks slowly and it always arrives. It chews slowly and it is always satisfied. Life doesn't always require you to be in a rush. Just find your direction and take one steady step after another. You don't have to be fast, you just have to be consistent. Walk calmly and savor the beautiful journey of life. One day, you'll look up and realize that your truest self is gentle, powerful, and at peace. So, my wish for all of us is that we can cultivate that peaceful, optimistic heart. Because when we do, I promise you, a life of good fortune and true happiness will be waiting. But that peaceful heart is often tested, and how a person acts when they're angry reveals everything about their true character, their quality as a human being. It tells you exactly who you're dealing with. There's an old saying, there are two things in this world you should never stare at directly, the sun and the human heart. One is blindingly bright, and the other is unfathomably deep.
If you want to truly see into a person's heart, you need two things: time and the chance to see them when they are angry. In a moment of rage, reason and self-control evaporate. The carefully constructed masks we all wear crumble to dust. And in that moment, you see the real person underneath. People who completely disregard the feelings of others when they're angry are often people who lack true depth and character. If someone acts as if the entire world owes them an apology when they're upset, even lashing out at innocent bystanders, that behavior isn't just unpleasant, it's a giant red flag that pushes good people away. So if you want to understand someone, watch them when they lose their temper. When control is lost, all the hidden parts of their personality, the parts they usually keep carefully disguised, are laid bare for all to see. For those with no self-discipline, anger can even lead them to solve problems with their fists. These are the people you need to walk away from, quickly. Someone who instantly turns on you when they're angry reveals a small and petty mind. A truly good, generous person knows how to see things from another's perspective. Even when they feel wronged, they can find empathy for the other person's situation and refuse to hold a grudge. Instead, they choose a calmer, more constructive way to communicate. But people of poor character are the opposite. When they get angry, they refuse to back down. They have to win. They have to get even. And this mindset only pours gasoline on the fire of any conflict. This brings to mind a tale of a famous Zen master in Japan named Hakuin. One day, a decorated samurai, a fierce warrior named Nobushige, came to his temple. He said, "Master, I have read the scriptures. They all speak of a heaven and a hell. But tell me, where are they really?" Master Hakuin, without even opening his eyes, asked softly, "And what is it that you do?" "I am a samurai," Nobushige replied with pride. The master scoffed, a look of pure disdain on his face. "You? A samurai? What fool of a lord would have a clumsy, pathetic-looking beggar like you as his guard?" Now, for a samurai, honor is more valuable than life itself. And Nobushige was a famed warrior. How could he possibly endure such a humiliating insult? In a flash, with the sharp ring of steel, the samurai drew the sword from his side, ready to strike down the Zen master Hakuin. But the master didn't flinch. He remained perfectly still on his meditation cushion and said calmly, "The gates of hell are opening now." The words struck the samurai like a physical blow. A cold sweat broke out on his brow. He instantly dropped his sword, fell to his knees, and bowed his head in deep remorse. The master simply smiled and said, "And the gates of heaven open from here." You see, in life, people who lash out in an instant, who turn on a dime when they're angry, they often have a very narrow view of the world. Their world revolves around them. They're driven by a powerful ego, a need for validation, and you can often see a clear inclination towards aggression. They try to build up their own self-worth by dominating others, just like that samurai, Nobushige. If the wise master hadn't shown him the mirror to his own soul, you can be sure his explosive temper would have led him to ruin time and time again. A person of true character, however, is a different story when faced with anger. They remain calm. Character is one of those things you can't see or touch, but you can feel it profoundly in someone's presence. A person with high integrity doesn't suddenly become someone else when they're provoked. That's because their response to anger is to calmly address the problem, not to frantically abandon their core principles and the grace they normally carry. They would never resort to irrational insults just because they're upset. Even in their most frustrating moments, they aren't selfish enough to dump all their negative emotions onto the people around them. Anger is an instinct, but controlling that anger, that is a superpower. Your character, your inner grace, isn't just a mask you wear when the seas are calm. It's the unshakable composure that withstands the trial by fire when that storm of anger rages inside you. When you feel that rage building, you have to remember these 4 mantras to stay in control of yourself. 1.
Avoid negative people and you will rarely be angry. People with bad intentions and toxic personalities are simply not worth your energy. Why waste your precious time getting tangled up with them? Never let them dictate the quality of your life. A good person doesn't get into arguments with a toxic one because a toxic person doesn't care about reason.
So don't waste your breath trying to teach them a lesson. It's pointless. Living a life free of unnecessary conflict will keep you from feeling angry over daily trifles. And maintaining a positive mindset and a calm, rational mind will only make your life flow more smoothly. 2. When you feel anger rising, remember, choosing not to be angry is a higher form of wisdom. It truly is. When your mind is open and at ease, you can think of countless ways to handle the unexpected challenges life throws at you. Getting angry doesn't just ruin your mood, it can genuinely damage your health and your relationships. So no matter what happens, remember to keep your mind calm and you'll find a way through it. 3. Remember, our purpose in life is not to cultivate anger. In a family, anger destroys harmony and shatters the warmth and happiness of a home. It's often the very thing that tears relationships apart. At work, if you're always angry, you can't build strong, collaborative bonds with your colleagues. This will have a huge impact on your work and your career. Anger even affects your lifespan. Seriously, nurturing anger is 100 times more dangerous than drinking poison. So keep yourself calm. Find joy in the little things and don't get angry over trivial matters. This is the path to a peaceful and happy life. 4. This life is far too short, and anger only hurts yourself. There's a saying in Buddhism, when you are angry, a million barriers arise. Life is a tapestry woven with both joy and sorrow. Don't let the things that displease you take control and make you angry. The longer you carry that heavy stone of anger with you, the more luck and opportunities you'll lose. Being angry at someone else is really just a way of punishing yourself, and that's a fool's game. So just stop. You know, my friends, a pessimist worries their whole life away, while an optimist finds good fortune no matter the circumstances. The life each of us leads is determined by our own choices. Whether we experience misfortune or luck depends entirely on how we choose to see the world. Let's reflect on this together with these next 2 short stories. Here's the first one. In the morning, a woman was heading to work when she discovered the front tire of her scooter was completely flat. She thought to herself, "Wow, I'm so lucky. What if this had happened while I was on the freeway? I can't imagine what the consequences would have been." She walked her scooter to a repair shop, and ultimately, she was 15 minutes late for work. Her supervisor told her the director wanted to see her. She thought, okay, if the director scolds me for being late, I'll just apologize sincerely and not make any excuses. However, to her absolute surprise, her boss didn't say a single word of criticism. It turned out he had called her in to explain something. He wanted her to know that her scheduled pay raise was due today, but because the government had made budget cuts to several public infrastructure projects to fight inflation, one of the company's major contracts was affected. The company was facing some financial strain, and because of that, her raise, along with a few others, had to be postponed. He promised her it would be fully compensated with back pay in the next review cycle. Walking back to her desk, a wave of relief and even joy washed over her. How incredibly lucky, she thought. With these government cuts, so many companies were struggling, forcing them to slash salaries or even lay people off. Not only did I not get a pay cut, but I'm also getting compensated later. That's true luck. Her second piece of luck? She realized she worked for a brilliant and genuinely kind boss. That evening, on her way home, she stopped by the grocery store, picked up some fresh seafood, and prepared a wonderful celebratory dinner for her family. 3 lucky breaks in a single day. A few days later, her husband was on his way home from work when some reckless driver, weaving through traffic, clipped his bike.
He took a tumble, but thankfully only ended up with a few scrapes on his arms and legs. When he told her what happened, her first thought was, "We are so lucky." To be in a traffic accident and walk away with just a few minor scratches without even needing a trip to the hospital. To celebrate this stroke of luck, she once again made a warm, loving dinner for the family. Years later, her mother passed away peacefully after a long illness and a full life. When I went to offer my condolences, she told me with a serene look on her face, "You know, she was lucky. She passed on a truly beautiful day. The sun was shining so brightly, it felt like a truly blessed day. There was no rain, so the funeral was dignified and went so smoothly." This woman, it seemed, was destined to have a life full of luck, but it was a destiny she created. Because of her positive mindset, her optimistic way of living, her husband and children never had to hear her sigh in despair or complain about their circumstances. No matter what happened, she always wore a smile. And because of that, she effortlessly won people over, and everything she did seemed to go well. Now in her 40s, she still has the vibrant, youthful energy of someone in their 20s. We all hope for good fortune in our lives, for a happy family, for a great job. But have you ever stopped to consider that luck isn't something that just happens to you? It's something that depends entirely on you. Life will always have its share of difficulties and challenges, but you don't have to give up, and you certainly shouldn't try to avoid them. Pessimism will only paralyze you and make you lose sight of who you are. But if you try to face everything with a spirit of optimism, seeing every challenge as just another experience on your journey, then you'll find that after the storm, the most brilliant and beautiful rainbow will appear. Just keep living with optimism, and you'll find that everything has a way of working out. This brings to mind another story. 3 construction workers were building a wall. A person walked by and asked them, "What are you all doing?" The first worker, with a scowl on his face, rumbled, "Can't you see? We're building a stupid wall." The second worker, with a calm expression, replied, "We are constructing a skyscraper." The third worker, breaking into a radiant smile, said with pride, "We are building a new city." 15 years later, the first worker was still on a different construction site, still grumbling as he built another wall. The second worker had become a successful engineer, sitting in an office designing incredible structures. And the third worker, he was the owner of the company, the boss of the other 2. People with a pessimistic outlook, like the first worker, often lack the drive to better themselves. They constantly feel bored, discouraged, and defeated in everything they do. They lack confidence in their own work. But optimistic people, they always have a smile on their lips and a deep confidence in themselves. They see opportunities for growth everywhere and are always looking toward a brighter future. For them, even in the heart of difficulty, an opportunity can be found. The key to success is hiding there. The second and third workers saw the profound meaning in the simple task they were doing. That vision was the key that unlocked their potential and drove them to strive for more. Their success 15 years later wasn't because they were luckier than the first man. It was because they actively built the path for their own lives. Your life will become truly more beautiful the moment you embrace an optimistic spirit. The more optimistic you are, the healthier your body will be and the clearer your mind will become. When faced with a problem, an optimist will actively search for a solution because they are always looking for the opportunity within the obstacle. They refuse to be defeated by a setback, and for that reason, they always seem to encounter more good fortune. Your attitude truly determines your destiny. A pessimist will always find something to worry about, while an optimist will find a reason to be lucky, no matter the situation. Being cheerful, positive, and ready to face anything will give you confidence and control over your life. The more we learn to live with optimism, the greater and more boundless the happiness we will feel. Every day, take a moment to be thankful for the lucky breaks and the good things that come your way.
But also, don't be so quick to curse the everyday troubles we all face. Believe that life is still full of new and wonderful things waiting just around the corner for you. If you run into a setback or a disadvantage, try with all your might to find that one positive angle, that one silver lining that will keep your life joyful and happy.
This life is incredibly short, so please choose to live it with optimism. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey today here at Evolve Every Day. If this story resonated with you and brought some value to your day, we'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. What are your thoughts on optimism and luck? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep evolving.